As he reached his mid-40s, for the first time in his adult life, a major league team did not want to sign Rickey Henderson. But the Man of Steel did not completely leave the game, instead spending his final years playing in independent leagues. So let's look at how Rickey Henderson ended his career independently.
Totally sports-esque. Major league.
Going into the new Millennium, Rickey Henderson was in the twilight of his career, but he was still pretty good. He won Comeback Player of the Year with the Mets in 1999, and after failing to renegotiate his contract with the Mets, his relationship with the team, in particular Bobby Valentine, soured. And he didn't put much effort into his remaining time with the Mets, hitting .219 with no home runs in 31 games, prompting his release after no team was willing to trade for him. And he would go on to sign with the Seattle Mariners for his 7th team. And in his second game, he would hit a leadoff home run, which made him the third player to hit a leadoff home run in 4 different decades, and the only one to do so in 4 decades, 2 centuries, and 2 millenniums. And he would do a little better in Seattle, only extending his lead on top of the all-time stolen base list, as he would steal 31 bases with the team. And despite starting the season in the National League, that was good enough for 4th in the American League. And after this season, he would make another return as he loved to do, this time returning to the Padres, mainly looking to break some records and collect some milestones, which he would do. Over the season, he would break Babe Ruth's record for career walks, Zach Wheat's record of games played in left field, Ty Cobb's record of career runs, which he broke on a home run, and on the final day of the season, he would record his 3,000th hit. This was also Tony Gwynn's final career game, and Henderson wanted to sit out to not take away from his moment, but Gwynn insisted that he played. And in what could have been a great way to end, Henderson felt that he was not done yet, and he would sign with the Red Sox to become the oldest player in the American League at 43 years old, and he decided to wear his old number of 35, as 24 was already taken by Manny Ramirez. And he wouldn't play much during the season, playing in 72 games, hitting .224, and stealing 8 bases, by far the least in his career. And with an obvious decline in performance with the natural factor of age, Henderson was in a position he had never been in, as no MLB team was showing interest. And again, instead of retiring, he decided to attempt a comeback, signing with the New York Bears of the Atlantic League, regarded as the best independent league, and has seen a number of great players make appearances, including Tim Raines, Jose Canseco, Roger Clemens, Juan Gonzalez, among many more, often at the end of their career, also attempting to make a comeback or just playing because they still could. And one thing this wasn't for was money. Not much of a concern for Henderson at that point. He was paid $3,000 a month, and his rent was $4,000. And a return to the majors was definitely not out of the realm of possibility for Henderson, and that would be pretty clear. In 56 games for Newark, he hit .339 with a 1.84 OPS, hitting 8 home runs and stealing 9 bases. He would play in the Atlantic League All-Star Game, and he would be named the game MVP. And after this, the Dodgers decided to sign Henderson, this being his 9th team. And it was similar to his time with the Red Sox, as he would play some in the second half of the Dodgers season, playing in 30 games, hitting .208 with 2 home runs, his last being in July against the Cardinals, which put him 3 away from .300. And as it would turn out, this would be where he finished, his appearance on September 19th being his final appearance in the majors, where he had 1 plate appearance, got hit by a pitch, and came all the way around to score his 2,295th run, a record that still stands and will be hard to break. And it wasn't immediately thought that his career was over, as he did not announce his retirement. And he was back in the same position as he was the previous year, playing in Newark hoping to make another comeback. And while he had another good year in the Atlantic League, playing in 91 games, hitting .281 with an 897 OPS, hitting 9 home runs and stealing 37 bases, this time he did not get a mid-season contract from a major league team. Still, it was not over for Rickey. With absolutely nothing left to prove, and his realistic chance of making it back to the majors pretty slim, 46-year-old Rickey Henderson was again playing independent ball, getting a call from his agent, hoping that it would be a major league team, but instead, he was going to the other side of the country, playing in the Golden League, a league not even affiliated with the minor leagues, and a league in their first season, a first-ballot Hall of Famer was putting his call on hold to play in a league that didn't have much to offer, but the opportunity to continue to play and spread the game. And the team he would be playing for would be the San Diego Surf Dawgs, going from wearing the jersey of 9 different MLB teams to now wearing a jersey that featured a dog clutching a surfboard. A team of guys who are hoping to get their chance to play in the majors or make a return like Henderson or Paul Abbott. And for the younger players who were just looking for an opportunity, suddenly getting to play with Rickey Henderson was a shock and a thrill. And just based on the perception, many would assume they were playing with a brash and boastful player who was obsessed with his own image. He was famous for referring to himself in the third person with his flashy way of playing. The perception can also be seen with what happened after he broke the all-time stolen base record. Afterwards, he gave the standard speech of thanking God, family, and friends. But what is most remembered is him ending his speech by saying, "Today, I am the greatest of all time," words that have been taken by many as arrogance. But Lou Brock, the Hall of Famer whose record he broke, actually helped him write the speech and approved what he was going to say, referencing Muhammad Ali and saying that he was the greatest of all time. And Henderson had some mixed feelings about what he said in the years after, saying, "As soon as I said it, it ruined everything. Everybody thought it was the worst thing you could ever say. Those words haunt me to this day and will continue to haunt me. They overshadow what I've accomplished in this game." That would obviously not be true, especially as time passed, but it was things like this that would make his Surf Dawg teammates think they would be dealing with a selfish player who had no reason to care. But that would turn out to be far from true. At the first game of the season, things started out with one of the league's investors and Pat Sajak riding in on a helicopter and throwing out the first pitch. Local media was out in full force, getting to watch Rickey Henderson playing in front of 3,000 in a small sold-out stadium to see if he still had it. He was the leadoff hitter as always, and he started the game by grounding out. But after a walk, he would hit a double in his third plate appearance, coming all the way around to score. And his fourth appearance gave the people what they really wanted to see. He would hit a single, then on a 2-0 pitch, he would steal second, something he had done 468 more times than the man he passed in 1991. And Rickey would go on to be one of the best players on the team and the leader. He was in better shape than most of the guys in their 20s, and what never helps, no matter their age, is the conditions they deal with playing independent baseball. There's the long bus rides, the hotels they stay in, which are far from great, and even the fields they play on can rival Little League fields in terms of quality. And there's the food. Independent players who live on peanut butter and jelly, or cereal, or whatever you could get from the gas station. But they would never be more glad to have Rickey as a teammate when he discovered what they were eating, and he decided to put an end to it. He would order pasta, fried chicken, potato salad for the whole team. Anything better than Pop-Tarts for dinner. And what he did the most was keep the team loose, never complaining about the situation, at least in front of them, and acting as a mentor. If a player needed help with their swing, he would arrive early and help them before practice. And given the opportunity, Surf Dawgs manager Terry Kennedy asked if Rickey could help the team with their base stealing, something he again was happy to do. He took the team out to first base, and he gave them a free masterclass. And when the other team saw this happening, Rickey would invite them over. He taught them how he would get breaks, pushing off the inside of his foot and opening his right foot, getting 5 more feet than the average person. Players would try to mimic him, but of course, there was only one who could do it like him. And the team benefited greatly. After winning a close game on the 4th of July, they were in first place, and they watched fireworks shoot off with the assumption that Henderson wouldn't be there much longer, as it was thought that he could still make it back to the majors and deserved to, but Rickey would really have to prove himself by putting up big numbers. And the problem was that he was not getting pitches to hit. About 2 months in, he already walked 63 times. There had to be a lot of intimidation for the young pitchers who were going against their childhood hero, with people saying most of these pitches were not even close. He would call his agent every day, and every day it was the same response, of no MLB teams having a real interest, saying they admired him, but they couldn't find a fit, which upset Rickey, as he felt he was in better shape than many major league players who were barely hanging on. And over the next month, his numbers began to slip, with his average falling 50 points. Bad timing, as that final day of July gave him his last chance to be a deadline pickup, and he would not receive any calls, in a situation that every great athlete faces, with the realization that his immense talent could no longer cover him. And his frustration showed on the field. When he had chances to steal, he would just not go, making excuses that he never would before, like the sun being in his eyes. Some saw it as a sad ending to the story, but it wasn't completely over. The Surf Dawgs made the playoffs, having a record of 52-38 to top the California division, with Henderson hitting .270 with an .859 OPS with 5 home runs and 16 stolen bases. And the playoffs took place over Labor Day weekend, which Rickey did not like because it had the feel of a softball league. But either way, given the circumstances, Henderson felt he owed it to his teammates to give it his all at least one more time. He gave a speech before the game, saying that they had carried him all year, and now it's time for them to get on Rickey's back. And in his first at-bat of the game, he would hit a home run, doing so at Blair Field, which is notorious for being a hard place to hit a home run. And over the 4 games they played, Rickey turned into the Rickey of old. Numerous extra base hits and stolen bases led the San Diego Surf Dawgs to the first ever Golden League championship. And he would celebrate like he won the World Series like he had multiple times before, dumping the ice bucket on his manager and partying like he was in his 20s. He hoped for the fairy tale ending of giving a speech before playing his final game on a major league field, but this was still a great ending. That would be his final game, though it would take some time to become official. His agent denied that he was retiring in December that year, and 2 months later, he would accept a job as a hitting instructor for the Mets, still leaving the door open for a return. He would decline an offer to return to the Surf Dawgs and still put his future up in the air. Billy Beane considered adding Henderson to the A's roster in September of 2007, but he said he didn't want one day. He wanted to earn a spot and feel like he belonged. And 2 months after that consideration, he officially announced his retirement, having his number retired by the A's in 2009 and making the Hall of Fame that year, as this time the Independent League did not infringe on the wait period, mentioning his time in those leagues in his speech and showcasing a side many had not seen by playing on his words by saying, "At this moment, I am, pause, very, very humble," a side not really seen to the public, but seen with those who were his teammates, as he was a caring teammate with a flashy personality in game that he very well backed up. Hopefully you liked this video, and if so, please consider liking and subscribing for new videos every week. Thank you.